It's that time of year again to give particular attention to the struggle to defend the rights of the unborn. Well, in the second half of this show, we're going to talk about the latest battle taking place in the defense of the life of the unborn. But in the first half of the show, I want to talk about two major cases pending before the United States Supreme Court. And help us go through those cases, we have with us on the line Matt McReynolds out of our Sacramento office. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brad.
Now, Matt, these cases, I understand, are going to be impacting in a major way religious freedom, particularly as applies to private Christian schools. Tell us more.
That's right, Brad. We're talking about two cases arising out of Southern California. And these cases involve two different Catholic schools, but they have implications for all manner of religious private schools because they center on those schools' ability to make key employment decisions.
Okay. And I think that's should be a high priority because if a religious school, a Christian school, and in this case we have two Catholic schools, if they cannot decide to hire who they wish and according to their own beliefs and convictions and theology, then they can be completely taken out. And I think this is really, really important for us to understand. Now, give us some factual background regarding these cases, Matt. Exactly what was taking place? What's going on?
Sure, Brad. Well, backing up just a little bit to 2012, what you just noted about the importance of schools being able to make these kinds of decisions was actually recognized by the U.S. Supreme Court in another high-profile case. But since that time, some of the federal courts of appeals have interpreted that very, very narrowly, and so they have wanted to take away decisions from private schools about their employees when they don't involve quote-unquote ministers. And so this term has become crucial in these types of cases. And in these two cases, Brad, you had two teachers who taught quite a bit, actually, of religious instruction, even helped to set up masses for their schools. But those cases, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals said the school's ability to decide to make employment decisions was taken away from them. And the Ninth Circuit said the schools shouldn't be able to make those decisions just based on their own religious precepts and without government interference.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about this? This reminds me of communist China and what they did to Hong Kong. I was there on a speaking tour once, and I was shocked to learn that the Hong Kong Baptist University decided, in order to survive, the communist China, when they became a part of China, said, we'll let you have seminary. We'll let you keep your seminary part of your university. But all the rest of it, we can appoint our communist, atheist professors to teach and instruct, and you won't have control anymore regarding the religious purpose and theme and the Christian message. That was in Hong Kong, courtesy of the Communist Party of Communist China. And yet, basically, what we're talking about here is the same thing. We're talking about government coming in and telling these private Christian institutions, okay, we'll let you have faculty according to your faith if they teach seminary, if they teach Bible or the Catholic teachings. But math, sociology, history, worldview, English literature, all these other things, you can't touch that. We, the government, will come in and be able to have people come in that are going to be teaching and protected by the government to teach things and worldview, and perhaps that is totally against the purpose and beliefs of these institutions. That parallel is alarming, but it's very real. And yet, that's what we're talking about in these two cases. Now, I understand. Tell us a little bit more, though, about this ministerial exception and why it's so important that this ministerial exception apply to, well, first, what is it, and why is it important that it apply to Christian private schools like we're talking about?
Sure. Well, Brad, the U.S. Supreme Court has said the ministerial exception derives directly from the First Amendment, and it's from a healthy concept of separation of church and state. And we often hear about that in a very negative context, but it also has a very important application, and that's to keep the government out of the church, to keep the government from dictating these types of decisions. And Brad, where we've seen this clash the most pronounced the last few years, and in these two cases as well, is with well-meaning discrimination laws. But when those discrimination laws come in to try to take over decisions made by Christian schools, Catholic schools, as to who is going to teach and guide their impressionable young students, then the First Amendment has to remain paramount. And that's what we're fighting for in these types of cases.
Yeah, we already see a spiritual war taking place in our public schools. I call it a spiritual genocide. With the new sex ed and the new radical social agendas coming in through the LGBT radical instruction and things like that. We already see that in the public schools. But those who are hostile to Christianity and the Christian message are not satisfied with that. They want all the kids. They want there to be none left standing with a Christian biblical worldview. And I think that's personal. I think that's what's underlying this whole movement to, if not shut down the schools, then at least effectively make them no longer Christian in their private school theology and practice. And we've got to protect these hubs. I know we at Pacific Justice have done a lot of work to protect private Christian schools in the past, as well as homeschooling for that matter. And yet these two cases that are pending for the Supreme Court, Matt, as I understand, could have a major impact on cases that we're actually involved in right now as I speak. Tell us about the casework that we're doing that could be impacted.
That's right. Well, first off, Brad, Pacific Justice Institute joined amicus briefs, first asking the U.S. Supreme Court to hear these cases, which we're so glad that they agreed to do, as well as on the merits in these two cases. So we've been involved in that way in these cases themselves. But right now we're fighting coast to coast on behalf of other private education. I'll just mention a few. One, we've got a huge case going on with a Christian boarding school in Northern California where the government is literally trying to control their curriculum, to control their employees. They're thinking that they can come in and take over that type of education, a Christian boarding school. And in New York, Brad, on behalf of ultra-Orthodox Jewish communities, we're fighting on behalf of them to prevent the government from coming in. And then way out in the South Pacific, we're representing a Christian Bible college that is literally being sued by a voodoo priest for discrimination because they told him, we can't have a voodoo priest working here at a Christian Bible college consistent with our beliefs and values.
Yeah, so we have cases, I mean, they're stretching from New York all the way out to the South Pacific. I mean, thousands of miles. Basically, wherever the United States has its flag flying, we at Pacific Justice Institute are committed to make sure that religious freedom is protected. And if that means in a small island way out in the Pacific or across the country in New York or in California, wherever it may be, we're there. And I want people to understand that because I think, Matt, oftentimes people, they think, well, Pacific Justice, they just want the big cases. They just want the major, big game cases, high profile. The reality is, though, Matt, we work hard to make sure that everyone gets help, don't we?
Absolutely, Brad. And it's so important to have that broader perspective. And I think it's important here for folks not to look at these as, those cases involve Catholic schools, so maybe that doesn't affect me. Or those cases involve public schools, so my kids aren't in public school. No, the battle is everywhere, and these things are so interrelated, and that's why we take them so seriously. That's
right. And if we don't prevail in that case in New York defending that Orthodox Jewish school, private Christian schools throughout New York are going to be impacted. This is a very important case where the state of New York is trying to pounce and tell an Orthodox Jewish school that has been operating the way they have longer than the United States has been the United States for hundreds of years. They're trying to tell them how to do what they do and have done very well. So in accordance with their faith and morals and standards and convictions, I just think this is it's a very important time for people to step up and get involved. And Matt, I so appreciate the work that you're doing. Folks, if you're out there and you'd like to become a part of our team at Pacific Justice, the way we're able to take on these cases, folks, is it's not because we have George Soros writing some big check or some politician running for president writing us some big check. It's because of the fact that we're out there making sure everyone's getting help. So it's moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas. We have over 100 churches supporting us. That's how we're able to do our work. And we have hundreds of affiliate attorneys all across the United States joining our team. But if you'd like to join our team and be actually a part of what we're doing, we take on hundreds of case matters every year, all without charge. I want you to go to our website, which is pji.org, P for Pacific, J for Justice, I for Institute.org. And there you can sign up to become a part of our team at Pacific Justice. You can also sign up to get our Legal Insider newsletter. That's really valuable. It's emailed to you once a week, and it gives you something to pray over and be aware of what's going on, but also to pray for us. We need prayer warriors to support the work that we're doing. Yes, it's a legal battle, but folks, it's also a spiritual battle that we know, and we've seen it in so many different ways. So we need prayer support as well. Go to our website, pji.org. As you feel led, support our work, maybe become a monthly supporter of our work. Go to our website, pji.org. Matt, I want to thank you so much for the work that you're doing out there with the other attorneys. I know right now, as we talked before the show started, you mentioned how we are literally at just bursting. Our chief counsel is working long hours. You're working long hours. Our attorneys are working long hours. So we really need that prayer support, and we greatly appreciate the financial support as well to expand our resources to make sure continually that everyone gets help. Matt, keep up the good work, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Brad.
Given the choice of obeying God or the government, I believe Christians will obey God, even if there is hell to pay.
Since the earliest days of our nation, America has stood for religious freedom. And after our independence was won, the crafters of America's Constitution enshrined religious liberty as the first of our American freedoms.
These are our blood-bought freedoms that we get to own and operate and defend in this nation as Americans. We're not going to surrender this. We are going to fight for what's right.
So I think it's imperative for our testimony,
Right.
to show we really do love, we really do care, we see what's going to happen.
Bloody violence breaking out after Antifa protesters storm a Patriot prayer rally.
Do you think religious institutions like colleges, churches, charities, should they lose their tax-exempt status if they oppose same-sex marriage?
Yes.
Parents across the state are keeping their kids home from school today. They say the new sex ed program is too inappropriate, adding the curriculum sexualizes children as young as kindergarten age.
I realize my child and every child is not safe in these public schools.
A lot of graphic information that was confusing.
Tells little boys it's perfectly normal to masturbate.
Choose their gender. That's our children. And we have parent groups fighting this. We were raided.
Approximately 16 California Highway Patrol officers armed with 2 canine units.
The real bottom line motivation for this, we've discovered, is the fact that the Department of Social Services and those who are behind this raid were actually wanting to shut this school down because they knew it was teaching from a Christian biblical worldview.
I was stripped of chaplaincy, of being a volunteer, of being able to teach the Bible study.
So what had Artis done that was so egregious? She had had a conversation with another resident of the home about the afterlife.
I was at school one day and they were talking about sex education and how it was okay to have sex with the same marriage. And I then stood up and I said, no, that is not okay. And then I got kicked out of class.
And we were able to draft a legal letter, memo, and sent it off to the principal.
So now if I talk about God at school, I don't get in trouble.
The Supreme Court has ruled the Peace Cross can stay right where it is on public land.
The court said that, if they were to remove street signs and crosses like this, war memorials, just because of the fact that some see it in a religious context, that would actually violate the Establishment Clause by being state hostility to religion.
As soon as we started the church, the neighbors looked at you a little funny, and all of a sudden we find ourselves embroiled in a lawsuit.
An atheist threatened to sue our HOA because we use the Sunday morning facility.
In the settlement, we got it squared away that we could meet on Sunday mornings, that we would not be discriminated against.
The administration escorted me off campus with 2 police officers.
And the arbitrator overruled the school and said, nope, this is not worthy of termination.
And I was granted my job back. So I'm very grateful to PJI. They really stand for justice.
Drag Queen Story Hour drew hundreds of people to the South Hill Library. The man who was arrested is a local pastor who wanted to preach at Saturday's protest.
So you're going to arrest me for standing on a public parking lot?
Now, he didn't threaten anyone, had no weapons, wasn't screaming in people's faces.
We just wanted to be a voice, for God, and just to be a light and a salt for those children.
The Pacific Justice Institute is absolutely doing great work.
This organization is a fighting organization. You help it, you're the same as the fighter.
I am so grateful to Pacific Justice Institute. Please support them. They are worth every penny.
It didn't cost us anything.
We would have drowned in legal fees. We would have been no more instantly.
I'm super grateful for PJI. They were a godsend.
Pacific Justice Institute as an organization is wholly committed, fully committed to doing the right thing, to being something good.
And folks, if you'd like to support the work of the Pacific Justice Institute, it's really easy to do. Just go to our website, pacificjustice.org or pji.org, and download there our information. You can sign up to get our Legal Insider newsletter every week. It keeps you up to date with what's happening, what we're doing in the courts, things that you will not hear through mainstream media. So go to our website, and while you're there, feel free to sign up to support our work on either a one-time or a monthly basis. We greatly appreciate those of you who don't just hear the work, but also those of you who pray for the work and also support our work financially. It's very, very much appreciated. Now, we have with us in the second part of this program someone really special. It's Patrina Mosley. Now, she's with the Family Research Council. In fact, she serves as the Director of Life, Culture, and Women's Advocacy. Patrina, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Patrina, you wrote an article recently, a very notable article, addressing something that not all of us know much about. We've heard about like the morning after pill, and we heard about just regular abortion procedures and late-term abortions. But there's something that's sweeping through the abortion industry, the abortion mill industry, if you will, and it's something called chemical abortions. And this is something that I understand is not just isolated. This is something that's actually pretty widespread. I have here a statistic that says the drug is used for aborting babies that are up to 10 weeks old, at which point the baby already has a head, hands, feet, fingers, and toes. The baby has also a heartbeat and brain activity. Tell us about this article and why we should be paying attention to this new wave of abortions, making it all too convenient to kill the unborn.
Yeah, what we know about the chemical abortion pill method is that it is a method that is quickly rising among abortion methods. Right now, thankfully, abortion rates overall have declined, but the use of inducing an abortion by drugs has increased over the last couple of years. Nearly 40% now of abortions are using drug-induced methods, such as the abortion pill. So this abortion pill, like you said, it has the ability to terminate a pregnancy up to 10 weeks. But what the abortion industry is marketing the abortion pill as, they're saying it's safe and it's simple, and you know what, that could be further from the truth. It's not safe. It's not simple. It's a multi-day traumatic process of numerous events of severe infections, bleeding, hemorrhaging. All these things have been reported to the FDA of happening with the abortion pill, a.k.a. chemical abortion, yet the abortion industry is heavily marketing this, and I can tell you why. Well, this is a business tactic.
Okay, it's a business tactic. How's it a business tactic? What do they? You say it's a business. How are they using this to make more money? Because Planned Parenthood, 86% of the net revenue that they bring in, excluding, of course, the federal government money that they've been bringing in, 86% has been through abortions. So they've been making a lot of money. How is this coming into play in terms of a money-making and profit perspective?
Well, let me tell you, it is far more easy to transport pills than it is to pay for the overhead costs of lights, facilities, surgical materials, paying for trained and skilled physicians who are able to do a proper abortion, if there is such a thing. And they realize that with the chemical abortion pill, it's easy to transport. It removes the physical presence of a physician out of the room, and the woman induces her own abortion. It's basically cutting out the physician. So this is not a decision between a woman and her doctor anymore. It's cutting the overhead costs of facilities and buildings and tools, and it's cheaper. It's cheaper for women to get, but they can purchase this in bulk, up the prices, and convince women that this is a safe, effective method, and it's a private method. Women take these pills at home.
Okay, now, who's distributing this? Is Planned Parenthood behind this? They think it's a great thing? Are they making money off this, or is it directly through the drug companies? How does this play out?
That's a great question. We are aware that the drug company that manufactures abortion pills is called Danco Laboratories, and they have collaborations with Planned Parenthood and other abortion advocacy rights groups. So, it is a very tangled web of conflict of interest, for sure, in this.
Now, you alluded earlier that this affects women's health. Okay, exactly. Because I can see some women hearing about this thinking, well, heck, this sounds easier than going through an abortion. It seems like, they go through with their surgical procedures, and you hear stories about women being permanently sterilized, having scar tissue, hemorrhaging, some women losing their lives in these medical clinic facilities. Is the chemical abortion pill, is this an easy way? Is this a nice, safer way that women can just take a pill, boom, the abortion's gone? Or is there something more sinister about this that women need to be aware of?
Absolutely something more sinister. Planned Parenthood has a video on their site explaining the process of a chemical abortion. And they simply go through the method of a woman takes the pill. She may experience some discomfort. She can take this at home. She should make herself comfortable. And then, boom, magically, the pregnancy disappears. And that is not how it actually works. And we've heard testimony after testimony from women who have endured a chemical abortion attest to the reported effects that we already have. The reported effects that we already have to the FDA, this is only the reported effects, okay, not the non-reported.
Okay.
This is over 4,000 adverse effects reported to the FDA between 2000 and 2018.
Okay, wait a minute. You just said there's over 4,000 reported adverse effects?
Yes, and 24 of these are deaths.
And 24 are deaths as a result of women using this pill to kill their unborn baby. That's tragic, and yet that's not on the Planned Parenthood website and video, is it?
No, it is not. You have 97 undiagnosed ectopic pregnancies, which goes back to my point of how the abortion industry now with the pill is cutting out the physician. A physician will usually diagnose a woman with and examine her to see whether or not she has an ectopic pregnancy, to see if there's anything physically going on that they need to be aware of before giving her these pills to induce, or before giving an abortion at all. So you have 97 undiagnosed ectopic pregnancies. Then on top of that, you have over 1,000 hospitalizations, almost 600 blood transfusions. That's no small deal.
No, it isn't, and that's why.
Deal.
Yeah, it isn't, and that's why states that are passing laws like Texas, I think Louisiana and some others are saying, hey, abortion isn't safe. And if anything, just for the safety of women who make this decision, this horrific decision to kill an innocent unborn baby, let's make sure at least there's a hospital nearby that they can go to so they don't die like so many women have. And yet some on the other political spectrum in Congress and in other places, in the courts, judicial activists, have tried to halt this legislation simply because it may have a pro-life angle to it. And I think that is so irresponsible that the safety of women should be on the altar of political activism at the expense of their health and safety simply because there might, quote unquote, be a pro-life angle to it. And I think that's most unfortunate. Now, in the article, you talk about these dangerous implications. I know in the movie Unplanned, Patrina, it talked about how it was, very horrific experience, chemical abortions, very painful experience, very grotesque experience, and traumatic when a woman oftentimes sees what they have actually aborted.
Right.
What would you advise women out there who are listening to this, who say they're pregnant, and they may not have planned it, okay? Oftentimes it's not planned. What would you advise them to do if they're seriously considering using this pill, this chemical abortion? What counsel would you give them right now if you were sitting on a couch, talking to them, counseling them?
I would tell them that they can do this, that whatever trial that they're looking at, whatever struggle that they're looking at, can be overcome, and it won't be overcome with adding more trauma to that situation by taking the life of your child. That life has a purpose and a plan that we cannot see right now, and they need and deserve a chance at life and a chance to fulfill that purpose and plan. If they are considering the chemical abortion pill, I would urge them to know the facts, get the details at abortiondrugfacts.com. That is a safe place where we have placed information on the chemical abortion pill, us and a number of other pro-life groups, where we give you just the straight facts.
Right,
and
excellent.
We let you know up front.
Yeah, excellent. Well, Patrina, keep up the good work you're doing. Family Research Council, FRC's doing a wonderful work, and we at Pacific Justice enjoy the opportunities we have to work together and to encourage and support the work that you're doing there at FRC. Keep it up, and we greatly appreciate all your efforts.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys as well. Thank you.
Folks, I want you to know that we at Pacific Justice Institute take very seriously the pro-life movement and efforts not just to protect the unborn, but also to protect mothers out there. That's why we at Pacific Justice Institute not only defend religious freedom, parents' rights, but also the sanctity of human life. And one large aspect of that is defending pro-life clinics and ministries that are attacked by vultures like Planned Parenthood and their cohorts to try to stifle true choice for women, making very, very difficult and life-changing decisions. I encourage you, if you know of someone out there who needs assistance or a pro-life clinic who needs counseling, I encourage you to have them contact Pacific Justice Institute. We've helped these clinics overcome local government hostilities and a number of occasions in a number of different states across the country. We have these affiliate attorneys all over the country to go to bat for you, to go to bat for the unborn, and to go to bat for women who are truly being victimized by those who allegedly are for them and their rights, like Planned Parenthood. Folks, there you have it. It's our God-given freedoms we're talking about. Now, let's choose to keep them. I'm Brad Dacus, president of the Pacific Justice Institute. Have a great weekend.